Hello, I'm responding to Rachel's post about different types of music in different societies and cultures and how that music can have such huge effect on one culture or one social group or society, country, state, community, anything. So in Rachel's post, she talked a lot about hip hop and R&B and rap music and how that is very much a culture for the African American um, society and the culture that they like to live in. So I think a lot of the hip hop and R&B that we listen to is, like she said, more of a culture for them and not necessarily a type of music. You know, we've talked a lot about how music can be an outlet and a way to express yourself and a way to identify yourself, like in when we talked about musical identities. So I think that that's one thing that definitely is a good way to get this week's prompt started off with. So following in that, I'm going to take a little bit of a step back and zoom out a little bit from her one focus area. So instead of talking about one culture with one type of music, I'm kind of going to go a little bit broader. So I think that when we look at, say, America as a whole, right, there are so many different cultures inside of it, so many different social norms and classes of people and everything. Here in America, we have almost one of everything, and I think that's really cool. So for me, I think that each of those different social groups have a different type of music that they use to identify themselves. It's, again, very similar to the musical identities that we talked about in the first week. So I think that looking at these cultures and how music can affect the cultures is really important. So, um, Rachel used this as an example also, the country music, right? That's um, the, people in the South, they love country music. People all over love country music. It's something that is enjoyable, that people really enjoy listening to, and it's something that we can all enjoy, based on um, that kind of thing. So that's obviously one culture that expresses themselves in a type of music, country music, or there's rock and roll. And I think now in my generation is kind of thinking, oh, rock and roll, that's for our parents that, in the 80s when they were all grungy and heavy metal and, stuff like that. And that's something that I don't think our culture necessarily knows really what that is, because we don't have any type of music that is that old school rock and roll, Led Zeppelin or Guns N' Roses. Those are things that I consider rock and roll, but we don't have any bands right now that are playing that kind of music anymore. Um, you know, you zooming in a little bit to a smaller societal groups. I don't even know what to call this type of group. They now is something that our generation probably would call hipsters. They're like um, very Lana Del Rey, that kind of music that is so free and easy flowing. And um, there's a type of music that it's not even a culture, it's more of a way that you identify yourself. There's music that goes along with that too. So I think that that is definitely a type of culture, and a type of music that goes with it. There's EDM music that is really big right now, just not very many words, but a lot of techno and bass drops and build ups and stuff like that. And that's definitely a type of culture also. It's a way that someone can use music as another way to identify themselves, but it's not them creating the music, it's them using the music to not necessarily complete them, but to kind of give them another expression of, the type of person that they think they are. So there are a lot of different ways that cultures have different types of music, and I think that we can go as in depth to that as we want. Very broad is the country, and then within that we have different wealth classes, different social classes, races, sexualities, all that kind of stuff can be broken down into smaller pieces, and there's a different type of music that can go with all of that. So I think that that's one really cool thing about this whole music kind of thing. So, thanks. See you next week.